Reviewing the San Jose Sharks versus the Edmonton Oilers, November 20th, 2018. This game was special for a lot of reasons, and there was only one game on today, oddly enough. But it was a big one because unless you were, hiding, in a cave or something, you knew that the Edmonton Oilers' old coach Tom McClellan got fired earlier today. And in his place, he was replaced right away by Ken Hitchcock, who last coached the Dallas Stars. Before that, St. Louis, and I think he's like third all time on the coaching wins list or something. And he is from Edmonton, ironically enough, and he's never coached a Canadian team. So this was sort of extra special. Apparently, he started off working in a skate shop before he became a coach, and it's led to this. So it's his first gig behind the bench. Besides that, this also happens to be, this was in San Jose, by the way, and it was also the first of 5 meetings for these two teams. McDavid got his 100th goal in the game. Thornton got his 1,033rd assist in the game. That's particularly important because he ties Marilyn Mew for 11th on the all-time assist list. And going into this game, because the Oilers won it 4-3 over the Sharks in overtime, going into the game, Edmonton was 3-1 in overtime, and San Jose was 3-3. So Edmonton's now 4-1, San Jose 3-4. Let's get to the scoring, shall we? Sharks started off. Donskoy gets his 5th of the year, assisted by Burns and Pavelski at 45 seconds in. I know other fans sitting at home are just like, oh, please, let this not be a sign, please. Yeah, no, it wasn't a sign. Then towards McDavid says, you know what, no, he goes and gets it back right away, gets his 13th of the year, assisted by Draisaitl and Larson. Then Sharks go ahead for the end of the period on a goal from Sorensen, his 4th of the year, assisted by Thornton and LeBlanc. Second period, Nugent Hopkins gets his 5th goal of the season, assisted by Brodziak. Now, the announcers kept calling it a shorthanded goal, but on TSN and Sportsnet, online, it's not listed as one. I believe the penalty might have ended just before they scored the goal, which is why the announcers just kept calling it a shorthanded goal. But we'll see if that's corrected. In any case, so Edmonton ties it up, but then San Jose goes ahead again, just towards the end of the second period, on a goal from Couture and Hertel. Third period, just one goal. Kagulia, who's been playing alongside McDavid and Draisaitl in this game, gets his 7th of the year. Also happens to be his 7th goal in the last 13 games, assisted by McDavid and Draisaitl, who get their 2nd points, respectively, of the game. I found Jones lately, and on this goal in particular, I found him a bit out of position. Like he wasn't paying attention to the pass at all. He was just looking at the shooter, and this guy, wasn't really covering him, or maybe he overtrusted. He just seemed to overplay the shot, or overplay the guy who had the puck who then passed it off, because he was just left out to dry there. In any case, blabbing. In overtime, Draisaitl gets his 13th of the year, assisted by McDavid. Both players get their 3rd point of the night. It was kind of a garbage goal, sort of, kind of, too. So, whatever. They'll take it. Hitchcock was smiling on the bench when that went in. And San Jose goes 0 for 3 on the power play. Edmonton goes 0 for 1. Jones saves 19 of 23. Koskinen saves 22 of 25. San Jose is now 11-7-4 with 26 points. You think they lost maybe a bit of an opportunity in this one, playing at home and everything. Edmonton is now 10-1 with 21 points. We'll see where this story leads. And if you happen to see my my video earlier today on fantasy pool on hockey fantasy pool updates and 6 things that you should be doing, one of them was about Koskinen and how you might be wise to pick him up. So you can also go check that out on my playlist as well. Games coming up tomorrow. Oh my God, there's 14. Let's start off Toronto versus Carolina. The Toronto Maple Leafs versus the Carolina Hurricanes. Philadelphia Flyers versus the Buffalo Sabres. The Toronto versus Carolina is kind of interesting because there's a lot of, the Nylander trade possible. The most likely one so far is with Carolina, and I'm sure you're going to hear a lot of talk about that during this game. Moving on, Florida Panthers versus the Tampa Bay Lightning. Florida, of course, just lost Trocheck, just lost their second line center. So it'll be interesting to see who they slide in there, be it McCann or Bustad. Of course, for Tampa, Valieski's still hurt. He's got that fractured foot. He'll still be out for a while. Then there's Ottawa Senators versus the Minnesota Wild. The Vancouver Canucks versus the Anaheim Ducks. Both teams have been on a slide lately. Colorado Avalanche versus the Los Angeles Kings. I'm interested in Los Angeles game just because of Peterson, that new goalie that they have. He's been doing amazing too, and he got a shutout last game. I can't think off the top of my head who it was against, but yeah, he's been. If LA didn't have him, boy. Then we have the Boston Bruins versus the Detroit Red Wings. Boston's almost their entire top pairing first line defensemen. 6 of their defensemen are out with injuries. And just to add to that, and that includes Chara and McAvoy, and but to add to that, was it the game on Friday? I want to say against Dallas, Bergeron got hurt. He had some cracked ribs and something else, and he's gone for minimum 4 weeks, and he was leading that team with like 26 points in 19 games. Then tomorrow as well, there's the St. Louis Blues versus Nashville Predators. Of course, St. Louis now has Berube, who was the assistant behind the bench. He's now the interim coach, and they're refusing to commit to him long term at all. I know Larry Robinson, who's been a senior advisor with St. Louis. He's going to assist Berube behind the bench as well. So curious to see how that works out. Yeah, and then we're moving on here. We have the Vegas Golden Knights versus the Arizona Coyotes. The Winnipeg Jets versus the Calgary Flames. Look for Calgary to continue to play Riddick, especially against Winnipeg, because they seem to have lost a lot of confidence in Mike Smith there, and Riddick's been playing really wonderfully. I also mentioned him in the fantasy pool update as well. So, next up, we're Montreal Canadiens versus the New Jersey Devils. New Jersey hasn't looked good for a week or two, a couple weeks now. New York Islanders versus the New York Rangers. This should be these are always passion-full games. Then we have the Dallas Stars versus the Pittsburgh Penguins. Pittsburgh Penguins really need this. And with heads rolling coaching-wise across the West, you start thinking, is Sullivan safe now too? Or is Rutherford going to make another big trade? I mean, because he's not going to trade, obviously Crosby, Malkin, probably not trade Letang, probably not trade Kessel, but Pittsburgh's goaltending now is, Murray's he's lost total confidence. DeSmith, he's doing okay. His last game, not so much, but he's doing all right. But the team just doesn't win battles for pucks. They don't. They're coughing pucks up in the neutral zone all the time. The giveaways, it's just. And what are you going to do? Trade all the borderline players who really aren't contributing at all? I hope you get lucky, like you did with the they haven't gotten lucky yet, really, but meaning when they traded Carl Hagelin to LA for Tanner Pearson. That was just, two guys who weren't producing at all so far this year. Moving on, last game here, Chicago Blackhawks versus the Washington Capitals. Yeah, and that's it. That's all, folks. Thank you so much for watching. Hit like if you like this video. Smash that subscribe button if you haven't already. I really appreciate it. If you know any hockey geeks out there, please don't be shy about sharing this with them. And yeah, thanks again, and I'll see you soon.